So recently I released a couple videos relating to Cal Haffa's Dream for All program. And if you saw those videos, great. If you didn't, you probably should go back and watch them now, but it may not really make much of a difference because those funds are now gone. So for those of you who missed that boat, I'm sorry, but those funds have been depleted for the time being. They're in reserve right now. So whoever got them, congratulations and kudos to you for being quick. For those of you who didn't and you still want to purchase a home, you may be thinking, Dietric, how in the world am I going to save 20% in order for me to get the down payment for a house? There's good news and there's bad news. The good news is you don't need 20% down payment to buy a house. That's a myth. The bad news is that, yes, you're probably still going to have to save something unless you use specific down payment assistance programs that can get you into a home with no money down. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But for the time being, I'm going to walk you through what the magic number is that you need to save to realistically purchase a house. And if you really want to know what that number is, I'm going to ask you to do me one favor before I tell you. That's right. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, because if you're finding value in this, I'm pretty sure you're going to want to watch more videos, and you probably want to send this out to other people who want to watch more videos. And it just lets YouTube know that I'm actually doing what they're telling me to do. Anyway, so for those of you who are wondering, the magic number is 6. Yes, 6%. You need to save 6% of whatever the purchase price is. And you're probably thinking, did you just pull that number out of thin air? No, but that's a very good question. I didn't pull that out of thin air, but here's how I got there. So there are certain types of loans that you can get where you can go as little as 3% down, depending on the type of program. Now there's income requirements and restrictions and limitations to those. So I won't use that. I would say the way that most people go about doing this is to do something called an FHA loan. So FHA loans require just 3.5% down. So that 3.5 is part of the 6% that I came up with in the number. The other 2.5% relates to something called closing costs. Now these are going to vary from state to state and location to location. And for us here in Southern California, they can range anywhere from, I'd say, 2 to 3% of the purchase price. I split the difference. I know Chris Voss says never split the difference, but I'm gonna split the difference anyway just to make the math even. So 3.5% plus 2.5% for the closing costs is 6%. Now, what are closing costs? Those are fees that your lender is going to charge you. They can be anything from appraisal to loan processing to pulling your credit. All of those things come into it. There's also what's called escrow fees, and these are going to vary from escrow company to escrow company. So just keep in mind that not everybody is going to pay the same amount in closing costs when they're purchasing a home. Again, it's all kind of hyper local, and it really depends on what the customs are in your neck of the woods. For us here, 2 to 3% is pretty standard for what we pay in closing costs. So if you're looking to purchase a home in California, let's just look at the median house price, which is about $800,000 in California. You need to save 6% of that, which comes out to $48,000. And you may be saying, where in the world am I going to get $48,000? Keep in mind, that's just assuming that you're purchasing a home that is in the median price range. Obviously, there are homes that are much lower than $800,000. For instance, you can get condos for $450,000 to $500,000. Or if you are really affluent and doing well off, $1 million or more might not be a problem for you. But for those of you who are thinking, how am I going to save up $48,000? I would venture to say that most people aren't going to purchase an $800,000 home. So look to save up enough that would be reasonable for what type of income that you make. So if you know you can't save $48,000, you probably don't want to look at an $800,000 home. If you can save up, let's say $24,000, then looking at a home that's between $400,000 and $500,000 is probably going to be more your speed. This isn't a situation where you want to try to keep up with the Joneses. You just want to make sure you're saving enough to cover your down payment and your closing costs. However, it doesn't stop there. The magic number is 6. That's just to do the closing. To understand what you're going to have to pay, you'll get something called a closing disclosure, or something we call a CD for short, 3 days prior to your closing. That is an itemized list of everything that is entailed in your loan, from your interest rate to how much you're going to pay in principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, how much you're going to pay in mortgage insurance, your homeowner's insurance, itemized list of what those closing costs are going to be in terms of fees. You will get a very itemized list of what that entails before you close, so that you understand as a consumer exactly what it is that you're paying for when you go to buy this property. 6% again is the magic number, but you're also going to need to save money because you want to make sure that when you move, you might have to hire movers, box things up, you may need to put stuff in storage. So you want to put a little buffer on top of that. And if this is all you can save, you don't want to blow through your entire savings just to purchase a house. And the reason is because when you get into the house, there are undoubtedly going to be things that pop up that you're going to need to repair. This is in addition to or after the fact that you've closed. And if you got the seller to fix anything or give you credits for certain repairs, you're probably going to find other things that pop up, or you may just want to make small renovations or change a couple things like paint, carpet to hardwood, whatever the case may be. You're probably going to want to change some of that stuff. So buffer in a little extra money to go on top of that. If this seems undauntingly difficult to be able to save for a home, again, there are down payment assistance programs out there that will help you with your down payment and your closing costs. So I would just say save as much as you can, but keep that magic number in the back of your mind and let that be your target. If you don't hit it and you can get down payment assistance from other sources, that's awesome. But if you can hit it, you can also use down payment assistance even though you save money. Oh, here's the big thing. Most of you are going to get caught by surprise, especially, I don't know how it operates in other states, but I'm going to tell you what happens in California. So for us, we have something called a supplemental tax. I'm pretty sure you have it in your neck of the woods as well, but I'm just speaking about California. The supplemental tax is essentially kind of a transition tax. So for instance, if you bought a house from somebody who's owned it for, let's say, 30 years, and their original payment for the house was, let's just say, $200,000, and now that her house is worth $600,000, well, they get assessed in terms of their property taxes based on what they purchased it for, unless they get reassessed every year. But here in LA County, they typically don't do that all that often. So there's probably not a big reassessment that comes along with that, even though they should. When you purchase the property, the supplemental tax is going to be the difference between what you paid for it and what they paid for it. So for instance, if the house is $600,000, they paid $200,000, you bought it for $600,000, the delta or the difference is $400,000. That is multiplied by a certain tax rate, and they split that into 2 equal payments. That will be your supplemental tax bill that will come up somewhere between 6 to 12 months after you close on the home. So if you do get money back from the closing, don't just spend it all. I'm warning you, don't just spend it all, because most people will get caught not understanding that there's going to be not only a property tax bill, but a supplemental tax bill. If you are lucky enough to get your lender to basically set up what's called an impound account, your mortgage will pay into, will have a certain percentage of your mortgage will go toward paying your property tax. So for instance, if your mortgage, I don't know, just using round numbers, if your mortgage is $4,000 a month, a portion of that will go into an impound account every month. Let's call it, I don't know, $500. So every month, $500 will go into an impound account. When the property taxes are due, your lender will pay the property taxes out of that impound account. You won't have to pay it directly from your pocket because it's already been kind of set aside for you to get your taxes paid on your property tax. The supplemental bill, your lender does not pay for that. That will come out of your own pocket. And that's why I'm telling you, if you get funds back, set them to the side to help offset some of the costs of that supplemental tax bill. And that's another reason why you just want to continue to save as much as you can and not blow your entire savings on the purchase of a house. I hope this helps you guys understand not only how much you need to save, but what you need to be prepared for even after the closing date, because there's going to be some more costs that come up. And if you are not prepared to pay that supplemental tax bill and you miss it, one, there is a penalty, so they charge you a little more. If you still don't pay it after that, they can foreclose on the home. and you don't want to have that happen to you at all. So if you're looking for additional information on various down payment assistance programs that you can take advantage of, I want you to watch these videos next. Until then, I wish you guys the best. Happy house hunting, and I'll see you again soon.